I'm here in Waltham Forest outside Barclay Primary School. We've seen a lot of people here turn up this morning to protest in regards to young Yahya, 8-year-old, who was of Palestinian descent. He was told to remove a lapel on Children's in Need Day, and he refused to do so. From that, he was actually sanctioned by the school itself and not allowed to go out on his lunch breaks. So his parents have felt that he's been discriminated because of his Palestinian heritage.
Many of them who are here in the cold for one purpose only, all of us, and that is to lend support to Yahya, who is only 8 years of age. For the past month, he has not had access to this so-called outstanding school. And this is why we are here to speak up all in unison with one voice. And this is very sinister because Yahya is also of Palestinian heritage, who is not allowed to wear a badge of his own country. He speaks to his relatives in Gaza over FaceTime, and yet he cannot show any kind of support for people and his own relatives from his own country. This is where this has all led. We are now living, and it's unfortunate, this is our country. This belongs to all of us, every single one of us, and yes, including Yahya.
Firstly, I want to say a few words about the school. We entrust them with our children every day, expecting a safe and nurturing environment. However, the recent events have left us disheartened. The treatment we received, the evident arrogance displayed, and the overall behaviour towards us have been nothing short of appalling. It is disheartening to witness such a lack of empathy and understanding, especially in times of crisis. The additional burden of family pressures from Gaza has only added to our stress as parents. The school's response and management of the situation has been confrontational and aggressive. As parents, we have concerns not only for our children's education, but also for their emotional well-being in an environment that should foster care and support. This brings me to my next point, the impact on our son Yahya. Yahya has been traumatized after being emotionally abused through a series of punishments, treatment and discrimination at school. He was told he would not be allowed back to school with his coat. He would not be welcomed to the school. He was refused homework and denied an education. He has been unable to go back to the school since the 23rd of November. The separation from his friends, the disruption to his school routine, and the absence of his beloved class teacher, Miss Zaman, have also taken a toll on him. As parents, we are doing our best to provide him with the support he needs at home, attempting to establish a semblance of normality amidst the chaos. The resilience of our children is both inspiring and heartbreaking, and it highlights the importance of a compassionate response from those around us. I would also like to take a moment to express our gratitude to each and every one of you who has shown up today. Your presence is a testament to the solidarity that exists across our community, transcending all faiths and backgrounds. Your message of support have been invaluable, and we want you to know how much it means to us. In times like these, when communities come together, it not only provides a solace, but also reaffirms the strength that lies in unity. While we navigate through this challenging period, it's crucial not to forget the people of Palestine and Gaza. Our brothers and sisters, they are enduring much more difficult times. The struggles we face here are a fraction of the hardships they endure daily. It's a stark reminder that, even in our own trials, we must not lose sight of the broader picture and continue to extend our thoughts, prayers and support to those who need it most. We will not let them make Palestine a dirty word, whatever pressure they apply. In conclusion, I want to thank you all once again for your presence, your support and the solidarity you have shown. Let us continue working together towards building a community that thrives on compassion, understanding and resilience. Together we can weather any storm and emerge stronger on the other side.
What we found really challenging is the fact that the school has been quite dismissive not taking our complaints seriously, and obviously the tone and the language and just the general demeanour of undermining us parents. We've had none of the school members have taken any accountability. We've asked for an apology. We've not had an apology. We've asked them to take into account of exactly what we feel is a humanitarian issue. Again, there's been nothing back. So I guess just to highlight, we're talking, they've talked about us being a minority and being factual. I'm looking around here. I can see over, maybe 200 parents here. Many of them have signed. So we want the school to take some responsibility, take some action, and to reform. And I think that's why we're here today, to make that change.
I'm here with the Achala family outside Barclay Primary School on a cold Thursday morning. The family here were directly affected by the situation. Young Yahya was taken out of the school because of a perceived Islamophobic sentiments from the school. Assalamu alaikum. Can you tell us and explain the situation with young Yahya? What actually happened?
It all kind of started around BBC Children in Need Day. So with Yahya, he's lost family members in Gaza. So on this day, he went into school with a sticker on which there was a small bow tie in Palestinian colours.
And I believe that Yahya is also of Palestinian descent.
That's right. My wife's side is from Gaza. And he's lost kind of members of his own family, distant relatives and friends he's spoken to. So it was, for him, it was a show of empathy to remember his dead family members.
What actually happened? What was the reaction of the school to Yahya wearing this lapel?
The sticker was actually removed first thing in the morning. And we received a call that same day that the school were apolitical, we had breached policies and it was not allowed.
I've seen some of the letters, and a lot of parents have raised this issue and concerns that in regards to the Ukraine crisis, the school actually had a position on that which seemed to be apolitical, but on the Gaza situation, they've changed their policy to apolitical. Do you believe that there's an issue with that?
Oh, absolutely. They've clearly showed double standards. Last year, Yahya was going to school and with a Ukraine badge on. The same teacher allowed him. And he's very confused as he can't understand why at this time he's not allowed to wear a flag of his country. So it's definitely double standards.
What happened after the actual incident itself? Why did you choose to remove Yahya from the school?
It wasn't a choice, it was enforced on us. So Yahya was basically told he would not be welcomed, he would not be allowed back in the school with his coat. He was told he would not be welcome at school tomorrow and they'd be waiting at the gates for him. And prior to that, there'd been many incidents where he'd been picked on, he'd been bullied by teachers, he'd been targeted.
Can you give us some examples of this?
Yeah, so on Monday he was denied playtime outside. He was isolated from his year group at lunchtime. On another day, he was denied playtimes. He was isolated from his year group. He was taken out of class without explanation. So a senior, I believe it's a deputy head teacher, came into the class without an explanation. Yeah, take your stuff and follow me. He was taken outside the head teacher's office where 7 members of the senior leadership team were meeting to discuss his fate. He was made to sit outside alone for what he describes as a long time. He could hear parts of the conversation, and I think that was done deliberately to frighten him. He was very scared, and he was made to sit alone for quite a long time.
And when you were informed about this situation, obviously that incident happened without your presence. When you invited to discuss the situation with Yahya?
That same day that day when we went to pick Yahya up from school, we discovered that he had been dressed in an adult staff jacket, paraded in the playground for other children and for the school to mock him. And it was designed to kind of emotionally break him. We then were spoken to by senior leadership team members, and we were told in, again, non-sensitive terms, that he would not be welcome back to school. So in effect, they are the ones that have denied him a right to education. It's not a choice of us not sending him to school. They've denied him his right to an education.
Islam Channel have seen some letters from the school itself threatening to take some of the parents to the PREVENT program, which is the government's anti-extremist radicalization program. Did you receive such a letter, and what did you feel about it?
Yeah, we have received it. We felt kind of extremely hurt. It was almost denying our right to show empathy with, people that have been killed, to show empathy with the genocide, and to say, kind of our empathy with our family members was political, and being warned with a PREVENT referral. It was highly offensive.
Was anyone referred to PREVENT on the back of this incident?
I'm not sure. I'm not aware.
What emotional and psychological impact has this situation had on you as a family, and especially Yahya?
It's had a huge impact. Yahya is, traumatized by the events. He's not the same person he was. And as a family, we've come together to support him as best as we can. And we'll see, we are consulting with lawyers on what step to take next. There has been an internal inquiry, as you may be aware, by the school. This inquiry was led by a senior teacher who has been named in the actual complaint. They've referred to an external inquiry, and in both investigations, both inquiries, they have not spoken to any witnesses, they have not spoken to any parents, they have not spoken to any children. The inquiries have been a farce to try and brush the truth under the carpet and not deal with the issues.
Alhamdulillah wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd. The community is disgusted at the treatment Yahya has actually received from the school. My children go to Barclays. We have lots of parents in Barclays, predominantly Muslim community in Barclays. We've had Yahya mistreated because he's Palestinian, and trying to show his empathy with his relatives and his friends who have passed away in Palestine. And what he's received for that is humiliating treatment in his classroom, in his year group, across the school. He hasn't had the right to an education for quite some time now, nearly 3 weeks or more, not getting homework to do at home even. They banned him from coming into school. So the parents, as you can imagine, are furious about what's going on. How can a child, first and foremost, be treated like this, ridiculed in front of his friends, treated in such a unhumane way? This is against all kind of safeguarding policies. Now, then on top of this, the school have lied about what's been going on. The school have not acknowledged the complaints of parents. They've actually taken steps to threaten parents with their letters of getting PREVENT involved, etc. So obviously, when Muslims are attacked like this, and specifically a child who has done nothing wrong at all, wearing a badge and making your voice heard or showing your solidarity with Palestinian friends. These are not just any Palestinians, these are friends and family of his. This could never be a crime. Voicing that, he's been persecuted because he's voiced his solidarity. Now, as you can see, all of these parents here are actually supporting Yahya because he's been denied and lied against by the school itself. Now, the community is outraged right now. The school could have easily spoken to parents, taken on their complaints, dealt with it. They've decided to brush everything under the carpet, carry on with their oppression of Yahya and his family, and on top of that, lie about everything that the parents have done. So obviously, it's outrage.
You spoke to me about an incident of a private WhatsApp group where you were talking about marching in solidarity with the war in Gaza, and in that group, one of the parents actually spoke to the school. Can you explain what happened in the incident?
There was a particular parents WhatsApp group created by other parents from the school as well, which we're all part of, and many of us, well, me in particular, I would post about national protests, anything local events and local protests that were going on for Palestine. And some other parents, it was coming up to Children in Need Day, so another parent put a Children in Need poster up with the Pudzi Bear, with the Palestinian flags, and I think it was the next morning or maybe 2 days later, there was a message from the school stating that we shouldn't be putting this out on social media or our WhatsApp groups. Firstly, there was nothing put out on social media naming the school or anything like that. It was literally parents writing on the WhatsApp group. And one of the messages when joining that WhatsApp group is that the school has nothing to do with that WhatsApp group. And rightly so, we are allowed to put whatever we like in the group. We are respectful to everyone else on that group. If anyone had any issues, they would have taken it up with the admin and we would have got messages. There was absolutely nothing. Everyone, like I said, was respectful and there was absolutely no arguments on the group. So for the school to come and message us that through a newsletter to all our parents, there was obviously someone from the group that went back and told the school they were offended by it, which I find absolutely shocking, because I know that any part of any WhatsApp group that I've been part of, or any of the other parents that have come here today that I've been part of, it's always stayed respectful.
I'm here with Hayam outside Barclay Primary School, who's actually a resident who's just moved into Waltham Forest area. Hayam himself is Jewish, and why did you feel a need to come and show solidarity with Yahya today outside Barclay Primary School?
Well, I, along with basically all of my Jewish friends, consider it part of our religious duty to stand in solidarity with Palestine, with people of Palestinian descent here and in Gaza and across the world, because we condemn everything that Israel is doing. They are claiming to speak on our behalf and that they're doing this on behalf of Jews, and that's not true. There are many Jews all over the world who oppose what they're doing and who consider it antithetical to our values.
We've known that around 20,000 people have died in this conflict and around 8,000 of them have been young children. How do you feel about that as a practicing Jewish person?
I mean, it's appalling. It's been honestly the greatest challenge to my religious conviction as a Jewish person, to know that this is being done in the name of, a religion that I hold really dear. It's unspeakable. I don't really think there are words to describe it. I don't think I can say,
How the Israeli government, they claim that they've done this in defense, because on the 7th of October we had the atrocities where the Hamas attacked the Jewish people or the people of Israel. Is that a legitimate claim, you think?
I mean, everything that happened on October 7th is part of a long history of occupation that goes back 75 years. I think that Israel has created conditions that made Hamas inevitable and made attacks like October 7th inevitable. And obviously the response has been completely disproportionate. And I think that they're using what happened on October 7th as a pretext for what they've always wanted to do, which is, the desecration of Gaza and its people.
I'm joined here with Amelia and Jamal, who are actually the cousins of 8-year-old Yahya, whose parents have decided to take him out of the school itself here in Barclays Primary School, Waltham Forest. Thank you, Amelia, for joining us. Assalamu alaikum. Your cousin, 8-year-old Yahya, was, he was told to effectively leave the school. How do you feel about it as a student as well as a young child who goes to primary school or secondary school? And also he's being your cousin. How's Yahya responded to all of this?
He's been very brave, and that I know it's a big change for him to not go to school and all of this, and his trust might have been a bit broken because he thought he could trust his teachers, and it might be a bit sad. Yeah.
Why do you think Yahya wanted to keep this Palestinian badge on his jacket?
Because that's his country and he's proud of it, and that he just wants to spread awareness for his family and all the people in Gaza.
Does what has Yahya told you about the whole situation?
He told me that's a very scary situation, and he doesn't feel very safe, and that it's changed his emotional stuff very drastically. Yeah.
And do you think that what the school did was right or wrong?
It was wrong because that's a student, and as a teacher you're there to educate them, and you're take away his education, and that's one of his human rights.
See, between him and me, I'm of Kashmiri descent. He's of Palestinian descent. So for him, it's the flag of his country, his native place. So irrespective of what's happening in the Middle East, you have many clothing brands out there, like the Canada Goose brand that's got a Canada flag on there. And there might be other brands that have imagery of certain flags. They're allowed to be worn on jackets. Why couldn't he wear that on his jacket? It's a jacket, it's not on the uniform itself. So I think that's the only defining factor of why he's being treated. I don't think there's anything else why they've treated for any other reason. Look, we as, like me personally, my family, I'm an ex-pupil here. I've had really good memories here of the school, of the teachers. I still remember the teachers, what it was like. And I want the same thing to happen to my kids. Right now, they need to open some channel of dialogue. They need to sit down with us as parents to see how we can go forward and move forward. But our primary goal at this moment in time is that young fella called Yahya, who's out of education for now for 4 weeks. We want him to get back into education as soon as possible. But that can only happen if they have open dialogue with us. And they've got to come down and sit at the table and resolve this matter.
Has Yahya been expelled, or has his parents decided to remove him from the education system?
To my knowledge, he's not been expelled. He's in sort of no man's land at the moment. They're refusing to send him in, I've been told, because of safeguarding issues, because they're concerned of his treatment there, and rightly so.
As a teacher of 40 years, how would you have handled this situation those years back?
Well, I think we can do what many schools are now doing, is look at this as a humanitarian catastrophe. It is a deliberately engineered humanitarian catastrophe, and one in which we need to take a humanitarian stance and support charities. My union is supporting the Save the Children Gaza Fund, and many schools, including schools in this borough, have taken a much more enlightened school approach than this one, are doing cake sales, raising money, etc. for such charities. And I think that's an important stance to take, and I would commend those schools that are doing that. I think more and more schools are coming round to that position because they can see, everybody can see what's going on. The fact that our government is complicit in this should not sort of stop us from having an opinion.
So as you know, and you've spoken to many people, with all of the correspondence that parents were getting from the school, the parents really tried to communicate with the school. They wrote a collective letter. Lots of parents came in. Lots of parents wrote individual emails, individual letters. But it was like they had a blank a blank no policy, that no, we're not going to communicate, we're not going to get back to you nicely. They called a letter that was signed by 180 parents fraudulent. So it's really important that they see that no, the community is united, the parents are united, and they are going to show this to the school. That's why it was important. And of course, most important thing is that everyone stands here with Yahya and his family, because they felt that the school was discriminating against them, which they clearly were. So the school can understand that they are not going to be able to divide the parents in the school, divide the community, because we're all standing together, whether it's on this issue or any other issue.
I think everyone is we have all the same feelings. Everyone is feeling, there is a bit of anger. It is upsetting because, like I said, there are other families that experience something, I wouldn't say similar, experience some sort of discrimination, but I think with the Palestinian family, and I know the mum personally, I think that went way too far. I don't think that was needed, really. I believe that the school could have handled it way much better than how they did.
I'm here outside Barclay Primary School where we've just witnessed a protest in support of young Yahya, an 8-year-old Palestinian descent child who attends the school. There's been a number of allegations from the parents where they've said that they felt that the child was actually being harassed and bullied for wearing a lapel. During the Children's in Need event, he was asked to remove the actual lapel but refused to do so, and from that situation it has escalated into a protest. Some of the allegations made by the family and the protesters here is being that he's been humiliated, bullied, discriminated against on the basis of his ethnicity, being of Palestinian descent. Some of the parents have just simply asked for an apology. They want the policies to change. They want the management to sit down with the school itself. But it seems that some of the parents who have who have taken issue with the school said that this is not just an isolated incident. This incident actually has been systematic. So as it stands right now, we have a stalemate between the parents demanding an apology and the school who has not offered an apology or a detailed explanation to why they've taken their position.